Surajit sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Welcome once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome to all the participants on behalf of Aryavarta Swadhyay School Complex. Welcome to Simple Ma'am, all our Aryavarta Swadhyay office bearers. We have with us Surajit Sen sir with a very important topic for the day. That how to draft questions in the light of Bloom's taxonomy. The half-yearly examinations are on way. So I now request Surjit sir to kindly start your session.
Okay. So thank you, Himanshu, sir. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Himanshu, sir, once again for giving me one more chance to be associated with you all. And I always consider myself very lucky to be associated with you all. Okay, so today we will be having a very important discussion on how to make better question papers in line with Bloom's taxonomy. Next month, we all are having our mid-term exam or first term exam, in whichever way you all call it. And I hope right now, if we have a discussion on this, then definitely it will be helpful for the teachers. So without wasting any time, let's go, because it's a long topic, a lot of discussions. Maybe if possible, we will do one activity also, if possible. Okay, so here we go. Using Bloom's taxonomy to design better question papers for CBSE schools from nursery to grade 10. Now, there is always a misunderstanding among many teachers and educators and experts that Bloom's taxonomy cannot be used in the pre-primary section, especially for nursery, lower KG, upper KG, 1, 2. But it's not like that. It can be very much used, and we are using unknowingly or knowingly. So today we will see, first of all, our core focus will be from recall to understanding to application to higher order thinking, how to make these question papers. Outcome will be a balanced, valid, and age appropriate question paper. Very important. Age appropriate question paper is something that we need to do. Sometime, in the light of making question papers, we sometimes make question papers which are much more difficult than for the student to comprehend the question paper. And many schools, so-called schools, and even parents boast that their children can solve questions. Their children, if they are in standard 4, they can solve questions of standard 7 and 8, which is absolutely a wrong concept. It's a wrong concept. One or two child can become a child prodigy, but you cannot have the entire class full of child prodigies. That is next to impossible. So we should always make question papers which should be age appropriate, brain appropriate, according to the learning capacity, according to the linguistic level of the children. And that question paper is supposed to be a balanced question paper. And of course, we have CBSE directions are used. We'll be following how to make competency focused assessment, not just memory testing ones, just to find out that whether the children have developed some sort of concept while they are in the learning phase. Okay, so these are few of the things that we will be discussing today. So let's move forward without further delay. Learning outcomes of this workshop. Through this workshop, what we will learn? Now, we will learn on how to explain the 6 levels of revised Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, map learning outcomes and syllabus content to appropriate cognitive demand. Please remember the appropriate cognitive demand. How much the brain can take, analyze, and systemize everything. Okay, that is something very important. Write age-appropriate questions from nursery to class 2, 3 to 5, 7, 6 to 8, and of course 9 and 10. Okay, we will see the balanced recall of understanding, application analysis, and evolution and creation, all the various aspects of Bloom's taxonomy. We'll also audit a paper for competency to see the difficulty level, ambiguity, bias, and cognitive varieties. That also, if possible, you will definitely see that. See this. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's move forward and again see what is stored there for us. Uh, these are the outcomes. Okay. Now, quickly we will see the 6 cognitive levels of Bloom's taxonomy, because whenever we see we have to do anything with Bloom's taxonomy, there should be a revision of Bloom's taxonomy. Very quickly we'll see it. All of you know this, but still we will see. You know, Bloom's taxonomy consists of 7 layers of understanding. Okay, 7 layers of performing, 7 layers of thinking in order in the classroom learning. So first is it is a revised taxonomy. Okay, it is a revised taxonomy. In 1956, Benjamin Bloom, he made the taxonomy, but and it was very much in use. It was used worldwide. It was used. Later his student, okay, Lauren Anderson, Cruikshank, and a few more were there, who all said that the time has come to bring about a change. And they brought some changes, and now we call it as the revised Bloom's taxonomy. So the first part, which is the very bottom part of the taxonomy, very bottom part of learning standard in school, is known as remember. Children generally remember the things. In the first phase of learning, children learn. Okay, they retrieve facts, terms, they try to define things, they try to identify, they try to recall whatever is taught to the children. The second level is a little higher level. It is known as understand, where the children explain the meaning in their own words. Okay, suppose you have taught something, they will try to explain it in their own words. When they will explain in their own words, means they are actually understanding those facts. Like, for example, we ask them to explain something, to classify something, to compare or summarize. So that comes to understanding. Then, of course, application, use learning in a situation. Okay, use learning in a situation means whatever the children are learning, they will try to use them. Okay, they will try to use them, and they will try to solve or calculate or demonstrate their ideas in their own ideas, which means whatever they have taught, they have been taught, they will try to apply it. Okay, then analyze, break apart, and examine the relationship. Okay, make them into small parts, join them, rejoin them, uh, like like organize them in a particular way. Try to compare. Okay, because comparison is something that will give a deeper understanding of the learning. Next comes the evaluate, to make justified judgment. Okay, like the students have understood, they have learned, they have tried to analyze them, they have applied them. Now they will try to evaluate, to remove the unnecessary materials from the learning material. The junks, the weeds, they should be removed. So in that case, we will ask them to make questions like access them or justify your statement or give a critical appreciation of this, and so on and so forth. That is part is going to evaluate. And after that, when the heart will be applied, produce something new, design something in a different way. We can ask questions like design, formulate, construct. These are the different types of verbs that we'll be using when we'll try to make questions at this particular higher level. Okay, so these are the 6 levels on the basis of which questions have been made. And CBSE plays a very big role. They are always asking us to make questions on the basis of Bloom's taxonomy. If you open the syllabus of class 9 and 10, you will find the blueprint of the question paper is given, and they clearly make us understand that how many questions should be, or what weightage of questions should be from the remember section, from understanding, from application, analysis, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's move forward again and see what else we have. Now, why Bloom's taxonomy for question paper? What's the big deal about it? Just in the beginning, I said that CBS, just now I also said that CBSE is asking us to take this seriously and make it. So why Bloom's taxonomy? What's the big deal about it? Uh, Can't we do it in any other way? But yes, we can. But Bloom's taxonomy is something different. It is something unique. It is unparalleled. So first of all, what it helps, stops one type of papers. That typical stereotype question paper making days are gone. When you use Bloom's taxonomy, it helps you to make a paper should not become a collection of definitions and copied exercises and memory questions. It should not be like that. That when you are supposed to make the question paper, you just sit, take out a reference book or take out a test book, just copy the questions that come back, and then just place them on the paper. No, no, no. It should not be like that. A paper should not become a collection of definitions only. It should be a variety of things that you will see. Making things visible, different questions reveal different cognitive processes. So when you apply Bloom's taxonomy, like if you apply, remember, understand, analyze, apply, so you will make different types of questions, and that will reveal the different cognitive processes of the students. And that will definitely help us and the children to take the things much more in a serious manner, and learning will become wonderful. It will become useful, supports competency. CBSE's assessment direction increasingly emphasizes application and competency rather than recall alone. Now, what is this application and competency? See, children study something, they understand it. After understanding it, when they try to put it in their own ways at different situations, then we are actually asking them to emphasize more on application of that learning. And when this application of learning takes place, then the competency level of the students increase. Competition level, how much competent enough they are to understand the matter, the part taught, the part discussed in their own terms and conditions, and making them in a much simpler way so that they can remember it for the rest of their life. And at any given condition, whether it is an examination, whether it is a real life situation, it can be used and made into a everyday life activity. Yes, what I can say. Improves vitality also. Okay. So by using Bloom's taxonomy, the validity, I'm sorry for that, validity of the question paper will increase. Okay, the cognitive demand of an item should match what the learning outcome actually expects. Now you have taught something. After teaching it, you believe that there should be a learning outcome. The children have learned something, there should be a learning outcome. Now, what is this learning outcome? What the student has exactly received from that learning part, from that particular area, from that particular fact, and that how much it really meets the demand, the need. So that is why it improves the validity of the question paper. So question paper is not just a paper with a few definitions to be answered and few discussions to be made, and finally a marks is given and that's all. No, it's lifelong learning activities. The scores that the students will get, that will help them to understand their learning for the rest of their lives at every level of learning. That's why it is important that we use Bloom's taxonomy for making question papers. Okay. A crucial principle. Bloom is not a verb chart. No, we often see Bloom's taxonomy, and we have plenty of verbs. Remember, recall, definition, understand, and so on and so forth. Respected teachers, let's make one thing very clear. It's not just a verb chart. Do not decide level by verb alone. Say for example, you are asking a question, explain. Can test a simple understanding or even a deep reasoning. It all depends upon how you place it. Compare can be simple recall of features or a sophisticated analysis. Simple recall of features means, okay, say for example, what you understand or compare, say in a biology question, say for example, breathing and respiration. Okay, you can compare the both of them. But if you go deep into it and analyze it, you can bring out a very sophisticated result out of that. You can say that respiration is a deep incellular incellular action where oxygen breaks down the carbohydrates to give energy, and breathing, on the other hand, is a superficial action. Is a superficial action that is like just the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So, like this, you can go on. So, it is not just a simple set of verbs. You can use it in various ways and means. Design may be genuinely creative or merely copying a thought format. Now, if I ask you, or if you ask a question, design, design how this particular machine works. Sometimes a simple illustration can be done, but an illustration with deeper examples, different explanations can bring out a better result. So that is why Bloom's taxonomy is not just a simple verb chart. It is something that will help the students go deep into the meaning. Judge the whole task. Ask what knowledge is. You will be able to judge the whole task. You will be able to understand what knowledge is needed. What must the learner actually do in the context, familiar or unfamiliar things, how much reasoning is required. That also we can go for that. What would be correct response to demonstrate in order to give a demonstration? Just writing a few words will not solve the problem, right? So like this, we will be using it in a more deeper way rather than just like a verb chart. Okay, and say okay, explain this or analyze this or do this or find out what is this. Instead of doing that, we can go in a better in the way. Okay, so this is the way that we will move forward. Okay, now go beyond the pyramid knowledge in this process. Okay, say for example, when you are when you are making the question paper, when you will make it, in order to get that knowledge dimension, in order to understand the knowledge dimensions of the students, we will use this matrix. Okay, you can use this matrix to find out what exactly we need to know from them. Let's take, for example, if we want to go for the factual understandings, then in case of remembering, in case of remember part of learning, we can just ask questions on terms and facts. And for that, for the understanding, we can ask explain those facts. We can also ask the student use these facts at different levels of understanding. We can also ask them to find out the relationship when they will break down the matters and try to join and rejoin them. We can also ask questions on what basis you think that this is the result of this type of thing. So they will give you judgmental evidences. And on the basis of factual facts, we can also ask them to generate new examples, not exactly everything from the textbook. That's important. Okay, if you want to get the knowledge dimension on how much concept the students have, then we can ask about the namings, about the concept. We can ask them explain the concept, like how AC generator works, or say, for example, how this in a junior class we can ask how soil erosion takes place, or explain the concept of soil erosion. Okay, at what time the soil erosion will take place? How this concept of soil erosion can be used to differentiate different aspects of learning and bring back life in a different way. Connect the concepts, judge models, develop. So like this, if you see this, you can make the question. So that is why Bloom's taxonomy is important. Okay, we can understand about the dimension of the factual knowledge, about conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, like recall the steps, different types of steps, how they want to explain the method of performing that particular experiment, perform the method, find out what are the things which are missing. So all these ways we can make it. Okay. And if you want to go to the metacognitive level, when you go deep into the understanding, you can ask them to the remembering part, like recognize the strategy, find the strategy, explain in your own way. Okay, maybe in the book a strategy is explained, but how the student will explain it in their own way. Select a particular strategy and try to think about it. So questions can be made. So use this matrix. Not only how difficult is this, but what kind of thinking knowledge does this item require. So whenever you are making a question paper on any of these aspects that you want to test the knowledge of the student, whether it is factual, conceptual, you can use this and find out exactly what is your demand. And from there, you can make sure that because teachers also have a little bit of demand from the students. And from there, you can analyze the quality of the student's learning and the basis of that, how much the student has learned and what exactly should be the assessment done to give a very, very unbiased assessment. That is what we look for, respected teachers. Making a question paper, conducting a test, and giving some marks is not the end of the game. This game continues on and on and on. Okay. Development progress from nursery to other grades. Okay, to other grades, like say grade 9 and 10, we can go. Okay. Okay, something is blocking this up from grade 1 and 2 and so on and so forth. Okay. So stage. development program, how we will move forward. Primary emphasis is there. You can think, you can find higher thinking can also look like what, and of course, what are the things we should avoid when we are making papers. Okay. For example, nursery to class two. Primary emphasis will be to see whether the children can recognize the matter, they can respond to it, they can even can do a little bit of classification and demonstration. Let's take a simple example of class nursery, grade nursery's question. You are giving a question. In the question paper, you have made 4 boxes and 4 different colors you have used: red, yellow, green, blue. Now you ask a very simple question. What is the color in box B? So the child will recognize the color and the child will give a response: red, blue, and this is exactly what we need. Okay. We can also, which is for a nursery student, although it will be a bit difficult, it is a higher order thinking. Okay. Question. Like, which is more bright, if you want to, or more bright color? This you can ask by giving a question paper. You can ask even orally also. If the paper is there in front, which is more bright, or which color you love the most? And you'll find children always have a knack towards bright colors. Maximum will point to red. So this will also give us an understanding that whether they are understanding what is the favorite color and why it is their favorite color. Okay. Abstract written thoughts, excessive text, too much of writing on the text on the question paper and all this we will try to avoid. We'll make very simple paper. Actually, respected teachers, this nursery, of course, nursery, we are not going for examination school. We just go for that stereotype examination. A paper should be made. A child should be asked to write. At the same time, with that same paper, the teacher could also go for an oral examination where a little extra thinking, a little extra communication will be made, and avoid too much text in the initial stages. As the child will grow up, as the child will progress, then of course text will go on increasing. Okay. I'll just give an example. So we will try to make questions on which the children can recognize the thing, they can respond their learning, and if necessary, they can do a little bit of classification. The same thing we will when we will go for standard 3 to 5, where we will give more emphasis on understanding of whatever they are learning. Okay, application of whatever they are learning with some reasons. We can go for real life word problems. We can give word problems and we can ask them to solve them. We can ask them to make this comparison, like comparison like living and non-living. Okay, solid and liquid. Uh, we can try to ask them to with choices and all, and we will try to avoid textbook reproduction. Textbook is there, but try to avoid the reproduction from the textbook directly. Let the children think a little bit, and that thinking will increase their cognitive power. That's what we all look for. Class 7, 6 to 8, sorry, class 6 to 8. Again, in order to understand, we can go a little more. Like we were asking our junior children to recognize and understand. Here we will ask, more emphasis will be given on application of their learning, analysis of their learning, and to justification. We can ask them about. We can give them small caselets. Caselets means small case stories. We can put a data and ask the student to analyze from that data about a particular question. It can be on science, social science, mathematics, so on and so forth. We can draw patterns and we can ask them on which pattern they will answer the questions, and multiple step problems. What we'll avoid over here, what's only as difficult, lengthy questions. No, we'll not try to go for too many lengthy questions because that will take away the essence of learning. And of course, for class 9 and 10, and the real rapid test goes on, where we will definitely ask children about questions on application, analysis, evaluation, and creation. Okay, like whatever they learn, application of that learning should be there. The principles of that learning has taken place. Now how the application of that principle will go on, a little difficult level will be over here. We can make case-based sources. CBSE is giving a lot of case-based questions. Data-based questions will give again reasoning and justification. Why this is this and why you justify them. So to give that. And We'll try to avoid recall heavy pattern papers that ignore competencies. Sometimes, no, we just compel the students to write long answers. We have to simply mug and jug everything. We'll try to avoid that. We will be more focusing on case-based learning, on reasoning and justification, because there the children will be able to differentiate the things and give their own ideas and make learning much better, much enjoyable. Otherwise, again, it will be a simple, boring question paper. At the end of the examination, the children will get exhausted. They even will not find for discussions, and this is another boring day. So let's make question papers more interesting, where reasoning will be more of importance rather than just somehow to solve the paper and get them out. Okay. So nursery to grade, we will grade group through development clear. So we will see this. Okay. What is age appropriate and all these things we will see. So remember, like we will ask them question like name colors. Just now, as I was telling you, identify the shapes. In the question paper, make the shape circle, rectangle, square. If you are going with this, okay. Nursery to grade two. Now, grade nursery may not understand what is rectangle. Okay, nursery it is too early for the student to understand for the same. But at least they can understand the words like box, round, stick type, and so on and so forth. Okay, so name, colors, identification, recognize letters, which is very much there in the nursery class, A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth. And count the objects, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is for remembering part. With this, we have to see whether they're remembering. If we want to make a little more advanced level, then understand. So more or less, you make two boxes. In one box, you have 5 apples. In one box, you have 3 apples. Which box has more apples? So that is very simple for a nursery student because they will count it and they will say. Or say we have group objects. We can ask the children, okay, tell what you see in this box or this bag contains balls. This bag contains chalks or pencils or rubbers. We have to draw those diagrams. Illustrations will be made, and an understanding or level of the student can be found. Apply use counting to choose how many objects are there. They are needed. Follow a sequence. Like suppose you make 3 boxes. Okay. In one box, you have five apples. In the second box, you have 3 apples. You have in the third box, you have 2 apples. The question can be like this: that how many apples should be put on the third box to make it look like the first box, or a little simple way, or in a little simple way, uh, how will you make the third box look like first box? So they're the children. This is application. Okay, remember, little understanding is required. So the children, they can say that from first box, I take 3 apples, put it on third box, and it looks like the first box. First box. So this is how we can go on. Okay. Analyze short objects by 2 attributes. What is different and explain. That is analysis. Like suppose in one we make an illustration with say socks in one box, and in another we make illustrations of say shirts, and we can ask what are the objects in box A, where do you wear these? A child will able to say that these are socks we wear in our foot or feet or whatever it is, and this is shirt which we wear to cover our body, like this. Okay. In fact, respected teachers, when we ask the children to analyze, you may not get answers from all the children. A handful of children will give you, but regular practice will make more and more children to get it. So that is why it is said that the pre-primary section is a section of repetition, repetition, and repetition. Okay, that's why according to NCF, the foundation years are activity-based years. Let the children in the remaining the classroom move here and there. Let them see, let them feel, let them touch the materials and understand. That will give them the idea about how to analyze the things. Okay, so this is important. So this way we will make it or evaluate. If you go a little higher, choose the better option in a simple situation and say why. Okay, now suppose a little tough this question will be. You draw a bottle and write hot water and you draw a bottle, write cold water, and you can write the question: in summer days, which water from which bottle you will drink? And you will find maximum child will say from the cold bottle because it's a hot day. But you have already taught them what is the meaning of hot, what is the meaning of cold, how one feels on a hot day. Okay, and these things are actually what we have been discussing time and again to make the child evaluate the things, understand the things. Okay, and make a pattern, complete a story, ending, construct, shape, model. Suppose if you want to ask them, if you want to ask them simple question, but something creative we have to get out of them, then we can say that okay, we can make a diagram or an illustration. How will you complete it? Okay, or we can make a small story of say 20 words or something, and how you end it. It may not be appropriate for nursery, but for class 2, it will be appropriate. Okay, so like that we are doing. Principle is that at the foundational stage, higher order often appears through talk, play, manipulation, sorting, prediction, and choice, not long written answers. We are, or we will ask orally. That's why a question will always be there, where both the oral and the written part will be there. As we have seen previously, written part will be less, little part will be less, more will be on discussions and all, because foundation stage study is like this now, according to the new education policy, according to the recommendations of the NCF, foundation stage, so on and so forth. So we will be, in order to get the higher education and higher order thinking, sorry, we will try to talk with them, we'll try to play with them, we'll try to manipulate with the things, we'll try to short the things, predict something, and not long written answers. We'll try to avoid long written answers as much as possible. We'll move to class 3 to 5 when we will work now, and different questions we will make. Now, when we want to see the level of remembering, very simple way we'll ask, name three sources of water. Or in mathematics, state the place value of 7. Very or in English, identify the noun in a sentence. This is just to see whether they are remembering. But if you want to understand whether they are understanding the things, then we can make questions, explain why clean water is important. Okay. Explain how you found the answer. In mathematics, suppose we are asking us then how you came to this conclusion. So they will give the conclusion. That is that they have understood it. Or say maybe in English, we can summarize this paragraph. So understand. Like in comprehension, we give the comprehensions and then we ask them, okay, give the summary of whatever you have learned. So that will help us to understand whether they have understood something. Application, suggest 2 ways to save water at home. This is application of what they have studied. Use a suitable operation to solve the problem, new problem, like that, so on and so forth. So you can see that. Analyze, compare two water use situations. Find the error in a one solution. Suppose the solution is that there is some error, so they will try to analyze it. Okay, evaluate which water saving method is the most practical, give reason. So the students will give the reasons because of after removing certain things which are not necessary. And design a simple water saving poster, that is create something out of it. Explain the strategy which is more efficient in mathematics, or which ending is more appropriate and why. Yes, very common question we ask. Write an alternative ending. So this will come up with new things. This is where we can make the questions. These are just simple examples. Okay, but you can apply different ways and means to go forward. Okay. Class 6 to 8 make competency the center. Now, from class 6 onwards, the competency level of understanding will take place. So, use unfamiliar context. The students must transfer learning, not simply reproduce the worked out example. Unfamiliar conditions, student. Let them compel them to think. eh, Let them apply the concept that they have understood it. And their competency level on the particular part of learning will increase. Use data, diagrams, short caselets, maps, all these things you can use to make the questions. If you are required reasoning, how do you know? What evidence supports it? What would happen if it was in this way? You can ask questions this way. Use multi-step tasks where appropriate, but do not confuse length with cognitive complexity too much. Too much lengthy, you don't make it. include distractors and diagnose misconceptions. Sometimes you may give a wrong answer to find out whether they know the right or not, but that also in an appropriate way. Okay. Reward explanation, justification method where the learning outcome requires them. Okay. And give whatever is required. Ask the students how much they, you can understand how much they have understood it, and on the basis of that, your analysis can also be done for the paper. For class 9 and 10, from knowledge to competency to higher order thinking, so you can make case and context, give realistic situations, ask the learner to select, calculate, interpret using different learned concepts. Example, a household electricity use scenario. Hey, that's an example. So give realistic situations to them. Nowadays, we are always thinking about more realistic situations rather than all the mugging up things of definitions and all. So case and context and evidence and data can be provided. Provide table, graph, experiment result. Ask the learners to interpret patterns, identify the relations, and when justification is needed, decision making is needed, where creation is needed, ask the students to choose, evaluate, and recommend or critique and require evidence or reasoning. Okay. There is a stronger than asking only what is. Or instead of asking what, you can asking why, how, and when. All these three can be added up and we can get the question and get the learning. A practical formula for writing good question paper. If you want to make a good question paper, what it should be in a very simple way, the content, what content or concept, whether it is concept, competency based or not, that you have to keep it in mind. The content, what content or skill or competency is being assessed, that you have to keep it in mind. On the basis of that, you will make context, what situation, stimulus, or data or problem will make the learning authentic. You have to keep that in mind and you have to provide that data. Just for the heck of doing it, don't do it. That's why it is not so easy to make a question paper 2 days or 3 days before the exam. At least 1 month time you need to sit and analyze and make a very good question paper. The cognitive demand, what must the learner do? Remember, explain, apply, analyze, and evaluate or create the things. So how much the cognitive demand is there? You have to make it how much you want to see, how much the student can respond according to its learning capacity that has taken place during the learning time in order to get the learning effects or the learning outcomes. What response will prove the intended learning unit? So these 4 steps you have to keep in mind: content, context, cognitive demand, and evidence. If you keep these 4 in mind, you can make a wonderful question paper where children will enjoy. Examinations should also be sessions of enjoyment. There should not be sessions of fear and anxiety and mistrust and all these things. No, never. So question STEM template, how you make it? Stimulus that you will get, situation, plus you give a task for explain, analyze, and whatever you do. So specific content you will give, the conditions and the criteria, and what response you have to keep it in mind. If we make it in this way, we can make very good questions for our children. We will enjoy also. Some of the verbs that you'll be action, a starting point, not a substitute. Okay, it's just a starting point whenever you will start the question. Like remember, if you want to go for the remembering part, then you can answer define this or identify this or make a list of this. If you want to go for understanding, you can ask the student, explain what you have learned about this or summarize in your own words that you have how you have understood about the rivers of North India or classify the mountains, the fold mountains and the old fold mountains and the new fold mountains or interpret about the Second World War in your own words. So you can understand how much the child has understood this if you are teaching social studies or if you are teaching the junior classes, junior courses. Uh, 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 what is the difference between a bush or let's forget bush. Bush is a tough one. What is the difference between a tree and a plant? Okay, this very simple ones we can do it. So like that you can use apply, solve, calculate, use, demonstrate, implement. In case of analysis part, you want to ask any questions, you can ask differentiate, compare the summers of north and summers of south. Okay. Or compare the structure, the temples of North India and that of South India, and so on and so forth. Okay. So why does not automatically mean analyze and design? Does not automatically mean create. Examine the actual task. So whenever you want to go for the actual task, okay, find it in that way. Don't directly just answer my question and try to get answer. Okay. So like this, these are the different types of verbs which you can use at different levels of making the question paper. Whether remember, understand, apply, analysis, evaluate, and create, and you can go on making questions. Transforming a recall question into a thinking question. What is a recall question? Something that is remembering. No, that is recall. Okay. But you can convert it into a more thinking question where the children will apply their thinking caps on to give a more appropriate answer. Let's take, for example, I'm taking a biology question. What is photosynthesis? Answers retrieval of a definition. Just the child will write. Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants make their food by the help of sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, and whatever it is. Understand, explain on your own words why sunlight is important for photosynthesis. Now, here a little bit of understand. Sunlight is important because it catches the photons which are present in the sunlight. This what you call the plastics catch them. Okay, then they try to break it, and energy is coming from there, and so on and so forth. Information they will give. A plant kept in darkness, apply or analysis. Question can be a plant kept in darkness for several days shows changes in its leaves. Predict and explain the likely effect. So what happened for a long time? The plant was not in the sunlight. It did not get the sunlight. The process of photosynthesis could not happen. So that's why the leaf looks pale uh, and sick type like this. So why it has happened? That we can get analysis. Evaluate. A student said plants get all their food from soil. Evaluate this statement using evidence. Okay, all their plants are food from soil. So like that also we can make it. So these will make a recall question into a thinking question. Okay, into a thinking question. So sometimes we can make a recall question, a simple remembering question. We can just make them go into the deeper understanding of learning, and, and we can make them understand better answers so that we can understand that the child has really studied the matter thoroughly and have understood the concept. And that is what we are looking for. Bloom's taxonomy for MCQs. Yes, MCQs can test high order thinking. And remember, respected teachers, MCQ is very difficult to make. It is not so easy to make MCQ questions. Only a person with enough knowledge, idea, and experience can make. Because, their deep study of students is required to find out. So we have to make the questions in that way also. Remember MCQ. Remember MCQ? I'm again going to the various aspects of learning. Which organ pumps blood around the body? This is a simple one. Okay, the heart pumps blood around the body. Understand, if you want to understand the level of the which statement best explains why exercise increases breathing rate. There may be some statements are given where we can something related to the heart will be there. Apply application if you go to MCQ. A student records pulse rate before and after exercise. Which conclusion is supported by this data? Okay, so how much energy is used by heavy work and all these things. Analyze MCQ. Which pattern in the table suggests variables and affected results? Okay, maybe some tables will be given, and there again we'll try to find out how the different types of variables are occurring during exercise, before exercise, or with the heart rate, heart pumping rate, or how the heart is functioning, and so on and so forth. Evaluate MCQ. Which explanation is best supported by the evidence? Maybe some evidences will be given, and then we are trying to find out find out one particular evidence which will be given by the explanation. Present a design problem and ask which proposed solution best meets the stated criteria. Like that's a more difficult level of questions will be come. So MCQ is not just putting the words over there and making a question. They should have meaning, they should have value, they should have all these points of understand, remember, understand, apply, and all. Then a good MCQ question paper can be made. Otherwise, it will be just like any another paper. Some of the students will get a boring paper, they will finish it off, and they will get scared of examination. They will get scared of examination. So we are not there to make them get afraid of examinations. We want to make them enjoy examinations as they enjoy the classes. So writing better MCQs, the distractor principle. Whenever we write MCQs, we give one correct answer and we give some wrong answers also, which we call them as distractors. And the distractors, let me tell you, have also very, very close meaning to the answer, the correct answer. So that will compel that the students should think more about it. So the distractors should be also right quantity and quality. Just any distractor you cannot give. So correct option one, unambiguously differentiable answer. First answer will definitely give the correct information about the answer. One answer will be there, which is the correct one, should also have this quality. Achha. One should be a pulsable distractor, represent a common misconception or likely an error. Some common misconceptions children have, and that should be there. That should be one of the distractors, so that will compel the student to think a little. Avoid clues. Do not make correct option longest, grammatically unique, or something like that. We are not there for to test their grammar. And avoid trivia. Do not use obscure facts unless they are part of the intended learning outcome. Don't just give any type of option which has no meaning towards the question, no relation towards the question, no understanding towards the question. Huh. Just to make an answer over there, we cannot give it like that. Okay. So be very, very careful whenever you are making a MCQ question. Avoid trivia. Avoid unnecessary, unintended distractors. Okay. Like say, for example, you are making a question paper question like, say, which is the strongest bond formed in among the elements, or how a strongest bond is formed among the elements. Now you can say, okay, when the electrons are this and that. I'm not a chemistry man, but if I cannot give you all the that way. But yes, bonds are formed in this way, or the electrovalent bonds are more strong, or the covalent bonds are not that much strong, but they are strong. But if you make a option over there, when James Bond comes in contact with elements, the bond becomes very strong. So that's an absurd answer. That should not be given. Okay, we'll try to avoid these types of. Uh, or say if the elements, I have seen this type of question respected teachers really. If the elements are put in, or if group bond P is poured into the elements, the bond becomes very strong. What is this? These types of questions should not be. Okay. Uh Blueprint first. So whenever you make a question paper, you have to screen, you have to make a blueprint, you have to make a structure of it. So step one should be list units, competences, and learning outcomes that you will make. Decide the marks and the weightage for each area. Remember, understand, analyze, apply, evaluate, and create for every area. What is the weightage you'll be given? That you have to decide. Decide the cognitive demand for each. How many questions will be of difficult level, how many of moderate level, how many of will be easy level. Decide item formats, MCQs, very short questions, short answer question, long answer question, so on and so forth. Okay, database question, extended purpose, performance task, and so on. Step 5, map every question to a learning outcome. Last group, sir. That is important. Why you are giving that question? What you want to see out of that question? In fact, respected teachers, after every examination, in many schools, the paper is analyzed. Why this question was given? What the teacher wanted to find out through this question. The group wise they go, the department wise they sit and have a discussion. Then only good teaching learning process takes place in school. It's not that okay, we have conducted a test, just let's now forget about everything. Someone is asking for attendance link. Wait for some time. We are in a very high-fi discussion right now. You will get the attendance link. Step 6, check total marks, coverage, make sure the paper is perfect, the difficulty levels, internal choices, the time interval you are giving. These are the basic things that you need to know once before you make the question paper, or once you are making the question paper. Then what type of questions you'll make, how many questions from each section, grades, uh, for, how, for each, for grade 8, 9, and so on and so forth. Okay, like for remember, 1 mark questions will be 4, 2 marks questions will be 2. For understanding level, you give 1 mark question 2, 2 mark question 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that becomes 4 and 2, 6 marks over there. For application level, you want to give two 1 mark questions, two 2 mark questions, two 3 marks questions. So six, and that comes to 12 and something like that. And finally, you come to the total. So that you must also make by yourself. Uh, this is also that important, and that will help you to make the question paper of 40 marks, 38 marks, 100 marks, whatever you want to make it. Okay. Evaluate, you may not have one 3 marks question. Create, of course, for creation and all, you cannot have 1 mark or 2 mark question. You may go for a 4 marks question or a 5 mark question or something like that. Okay. Huh. Blueprint audit. The 7 question, every question setter should keep it in mind. Have all major learning outcomes been assessed? That is your learning outcomes. Okay. Is the cognitive demand appropriate for the grade learning? Right from the beginning, I'm telling you, always make a grade appropriate, brain appropriate, age appropriate, learning appropriate question paper. Is the paper balanced or dominated by remember? Only too many questions of remember is given. Are competence and application levels are of meaningful context? Are marks proportional to the response? Now you will give, say for example, 1 mark, and you will ask the student to write 5 lines about it. That is not acceptable. 1 mark, either one word, max to max 1 sentence, not more than that. A good question paper setter always keeps this in mind. Can a well-prepared student finish within the allotted time? You have to see this. You have to make the question paper. Many times I have seen people, teachers making question papers in which the students finish within 20 minutes. That is also not good. And students are struggling to finish the question paper. That is also not. Because you teachers are people who are having maximum insight and foresight. You know your students, you know your teaching capacity, you know their understanding. So obviously, you know how much time they will take to make the question paper. So in this way, we have to go. Are questions clear? Yes. Unbiased, age appropriate or not. And remember, during the exam time, you cannot expect a student to guess what you are trying to give. You have to be very, very specific, to the point, if you want to the point answers. You just cannot simply play with their time, respected teachers. I know you don't play, but this is just a reminder to you. Okay? Okay. Three things teachers often confuse. They often get confused while making cognitive demand. They don't understand the cognitive demand of it, how much, what kind of thinking is required, and then problem arises. Example, interpreting a graph or maybe cognitivity demanding, even if the answer is 1 sentence, then also we give a lot of information. So that you have to understand. Difficulty, how likely is the learner to answer correctly? The difficulty question may be difficult because of unfamiliar content, language. So you have to use the language which the student understand. Too much unnecessary usage of language may spoil the answer. How much writing and calculations required, the length. Sometimes we don't even think about it, we just give the question. But we must understand, no, how much this is required. Then only it will go on. Otherwise, there will be problem. I have been given the time. Okay. So there we need a few things to remember. What is the cognitive demand? According to that, we will ask the question. We are going to understand the difficulty level. Don't use unusual other words and all, which the student will not understand. And what will be the length of the question? How much they should write? A good question setter always thinks about this. Keep these things in mind and make the question paper. Bloom plus competency, weak design, stronger design. Like say for example, weak design, define evaporation. Stronger design will be a real life situation, wet clothes dry faster under certain conditions. Explain why. This is a stronger design of question. This is a weak. Define evaporation. It is just a mugging and jugging question. But if we make a question like this, a real life situation where we can give like wet clothes dry faster under certain conditions. Explain why. Now here the student will talk about evaporation. He will give the definition of evaporation, understanding of evaporation, and so on. State Ohm's law gives voltage and resistance. Given voltage and resistance data, calculate how much current, and we will talk about Ohm's law. What is democracy? Read a short scenario and identify what is given. Write a formula, choose appropriate formula for a new situation. So like this, we can make better questions instead of directly asking these questions, which are nothing but just shows that about that rote learning quality of the student. Okay. From the design question paper should be made. Complex question design, mathematics move from calculation to unfamiliar problem, strategy comparison, and justification. This stage. Science move from facts to concepts to explanation, application of the explanation, and if possible, evidence-based conclusion they can give. What is this evidence-based conclusion? Okay, asking about say how acid and alkali react, or how the salt formation is taking place, okay, in the chemistry lab, or say for example in physics, how a simple copper wire along with an iron nail, if electricity is passed, how it becomes a magnet. So all these simple things can be taught, okay, and can be asked. Social science move from recall to sources, give diagrams, give this maps, give illustrations, give data, and ask them to interpret with justified results. English move from identification to interpretation. What you get out of it, what knowledge you get, what are the things, sir? Interfere with it, evaluate something new, and give a better answer. So, like this, these are a few things you have to keep it in mind whenever you make a question paper. It's not so easy that in one go we will learn everything. It makes practice, practice, and practice. More repetition, more practice, and more ideas will come. Design the question paper as a learning journey. Throughout that examination, it's like they are moving through a journey where the children are giving good results. Section A, accessible entry point, recall and understanding. Okay, so maybe a little easy question so that they will feel good about it. Section B, application of the familiar thing in a moderately unfamiliar situations. So they will keep on thinking. Section C, reasoning, analysis, data, we can give them. Section D, maybe we'll give higher order thinkings where a little bit of justification, creation is needed. The paper should progress in cognitive demand, not simply become progressively longer. So how much the brain can think, how much they require, and on the basis of that. Okay, just don't make a paper right in the beginning is difficult, then easy, then difficult, and step by step, you will go forward. They will enjoy, children will enjoy. When children start answering questions, the more answers they give, there is a feel of different joy is there, different feeling is there, which makes the answers much better. Okay. Question model, use a common review break, or like check, and you write yes or no, whether this is an activity actually. Does the question access the intended learning outcome? Yes or no, you will write. Bloom level, it's Bloom level going through it. Okay, you can see that. Clarity is there or not, we can find out. Answerability, whether the child will be able to answer, anything is missing or not, that you have to check. How much marks and time you are allotting, and bias or inclusivity, no avoidable cultural, gender, socio-economic or language bias. Yes, be very careful about that. Yes, be very careful about it. Okay, right. So this is what we all should do. And with this, I think we have come to the end. We are coming to the end. Yes. So common mistakes in Bloom's taxonomy based papers, treating Bloom as a compulsory six-step ladder for every chapter. No, it's not like that. It all depends upon how you will make it. All the 6 steps, it cannot go in that way. Use action verbs mechanically without analyzing the task. Please be careful about using the verbs. Calling every why question to an analyzed question. No, not everyone. Making hot question unnecessarily difficult or lengthy. Please avoid this. Overloading the paper with remember question. That should not be a balanced question paper. Use trick questions or ambiguous distractors. Don't use unusual distractors. Ignoring development appropriateness in primary grades. This also sometimes we ignore. Create a blueprint after the paper is already written, but please make it. Forgetting to moderate the paper from time, language, and accessibility. These are some of the things we forget. We have to remember that we have to make a good paper, a answerable paper, a balanced paper, where all the 6 steps of learning should be there. If that is there, a good question paper is been made. Uh, Activity upgrade the question. Starting question, what are the 3 states of matter? If you can make a question like this, ask for groups. This is actually a work, but right now we cannot do it. The time is not there. Identify the current cognitive level from here, rewrite what it understands and all these things. Okay, so this part we are living right now. You can take a photo of this and you can do it in your house later. Okay. Content coverage matches the syllabus or not, that you have to check because don't go out of the syllabus. Otherwise, there will be who and cry in the school. Every question should have an intentional cognitive demand. Yes. Question language is clear and area appropriate. MCQ, this we have already just now seen it. Paper is neither memory heavily or artificially made. Okay. It should be a simple answerable question paper. Thank you, Sasikant sir. So these 10 points you have to remember. Content coverage, every question is an intentional manner. Question paper should be perfect. MCQ should be pulsable. Internal choices are comparable. Your paper is neither memory heavy nor artificially efforts heavy. Ah, बहुत बड़ा question बना दिया है. In my first time when I made my question paper in my life when I was a student. That story I will tell you some other day. Why I made that question paper and why what happened after that and what I learned from my principal. Okay. Well, so a good question paper does not just measure what students know, it reveals what they can understand, they can apply, they can analyze, they can evaluate, and they can create. Bloom's taxonomy plus competency plus development appropriateness plus good assessment design is an excellent paper. Thank you, respected teachers. Thank you for giving this time to me so that we can discuss all these things. And making question paper is an art, I will say. It's an art. It's not everybody's cup of tea. It takes a lot of time, lot of what you call patience, which is one of the greatest quality of the teachers, lot of understanding, analyzing, lot of insight and foresight of yours is required. So with this, we come to the end of the session. If you have any questions later, you can ask me. My phone number is given. You can also write to me. My email ID is given, send.sen1@gmail.com. So with this, we come. I will say it is a very rapid session. But we can again have these types of sessions where we can have it in 2 parts or 3 parts so that more understanding. Because this is something we need to know, respected teachers. We need to know, otherwise we will not be able to do justice with our teaching learning process with our children and all. We must make good question papers. So with this, we come to the end. I am Himanshu sir. I am just stopping the presentation. If anybody has any question, they can ask. And we
Yes.
also require sir's expertise. Sir, your
Excellent
expertise,
session,
sir.
sir. Very nice session. Excellent. I always like question and your sessions are always special all the time.
Thank you so much, sir.
Participants are requested to kindly put your feedback. If you have any query, you can put in the chat box. Surjit sir will be happier to share his views over your questions. It was a very nice session again, I must say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I conducted a session for
Mhm.
students and one workshop whole day, wherein
On
students
this,
and
yes,
were asked to
yes,
prepare questions.
right.
Criteria, the topic was given, the numbers. They had to prepare the marking scheme as well as the questions, and then they had
Yes,
to be
sir. Yes,
rewarded.
right.
Uh, I got around 250 participants in students. They're all good
Wow,
students. Those
great, sir.
IIT
Great.
rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, Olympiad rankers.
Acha.
So teachers also say appeared in. It was actually with physics questions,
Okay.
9, 10, 11, 12. And all the graders were from IITs. I myself was there, then from TIFR. So it was done that way. The name of the
Great, sir.
program was
Great.
Quantumia. It's
Okay.
a whole 6-day workshop.
Right.
So I don't think participants have any question in the mind.
Okay.
So we now conclude the session. Thank you so much on behalf of Aryavarta Sahodaya School Complex, Surjit sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you to
sir.
all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simple ma'am, who had been here throughout the session, assisting us for the session to get over, say, successfully. Thank you, everyone. Now we can leave. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good night to all of you
Good night.
and have a nice weekend.
Thank you, sir.